Welcome to week 3 of the Well-Read Bible Project. This week we're spending time in Genesis 8 through 11, Proverbs 3, and Psalm 16. And these passages aren't just individual readings. They are a thread of hope, trust, and restoration. And if your life feels disordered or uncertain or heavy, these chapters are going to speak directly into this. So there are seasons where life feels completely disordered, right? Relationships fall apart, diagnosis comes along that you weren't expecting, or a deep sense of exhaustion settles in and just lingers. And suddenly we find ourselves standing in the middle of a life we barely recognize, right? And this is where we find Noah in Genesis 8, because the flood has passed, but the world is unrecognizable. And what I noticed was Noah didn't rush out after, right? He waits. He sends out a bird. He tests the ground. And that kind of caution after chaos is wisdom, not weakness, right? And the most beautiful line of this chapter is God remembered Noah. Right? That word remembered in Hebrew doesn't just mean God recalled him, thinking about him. God turned his full attention toward Noah in order to act. And if you've come through a flood season yourself, even a quiet emotional one that nobody even knew about, God has not forgotten you. You are remembered, and he turns his full attention towards you. Right? And then we see something a little different in Genesis 11, right? People trying to protect themselves by building this tower, right? And their motivation wasn't just pride, it was fear. They wanted to avoid being scattered. They wanted control, so they built, and God intervened. Not as a punishment, but as a protection. Because when we build from fear, we separate ourselves from the trust we were designed for, right? And in our own lives, God breaks what we build out of fear so that he can guide us back into what he builds through trust. And so maybe you're hearing all of this and you're thinking, but I haven't even been reading everything. I'm so far behind. I might as well just quit this. But I want to tell you, you're not behind. Right? You're not behind. You're not disqualified. You're still invited. And the Well-Read Bible Project is not a performance, right? It's a journey, and it has room for detours and delays and grief and dry seasons, because the goal is never to finish perfectly. The goal of this year is just simply formation, presence, and encounter. Right? And this is where we see in Psalm 16, it says, the boundary lines have fallen for me in pleasant places. And that includes this week, this moment, this breath. God isn't asking you to catch up. He's asking you to come close. He's not asking you to build. He's asking you to trust, right? So instead of rushing back to try and catch up, just take one verse and one prayer and just whisper, Lord, speak. And let that be enough. He will meet you there. All right? And so then I want to pull into, well, let me just stay. Let me just stay. I'm a little scattered today. Let me just stay at Psalm 16 for a minute. Because Psalm 16 is a song of quiet trust, right? David writes, you are my Lord. I have no good apart from you. And that is a security in God, right? He says, the lines have fallen for me in pleasant places, and I will not be shaken. You make known to me the path of life. And when I read this, I'm thinking, this is not a man grasping for control. This is a man grounded in God's goodness, right? And David isn't asking for clarity. He's resting in presence. And that's what trust produces, like not perfect understanding, but deep rootedness in whose we are. And that's what I really kind of want to settle with you this week, is that you don't have to fix everything. You don't have to catch up. You don't have to know everything. You just have to stay close. Stay close to Him and trust in God with all your heart. Right? So this, I know it sounds like I kind of skimmed a bit over Genesis and Psalm, but I really wanted to focus this week really on trusting God with all your heart. Okay, this is one that we all know, right? Trust in God with all your heart. Do not lean on your own understanding. Proverbs 3:5-6, right? Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will make your paths straight. And what I want to point out is that trust is not passive. It's relational. And many of us have been taught that trust means staying quiet, holding back our feelings, or resigning ourselves to whatever happens. But the Hebrew used for trust, the word here, means to place your full weight on something with confidence. And you would do that as you would with a strong, steady foundation holding you up, right? It's not about shutting down your thoughts. It's about opening your heart fully to God's presence, even when everything feels uncertain. This is about learning to rest in the nature and character of God when your understanding runs out. And we trust not because we know the path coming, but because we know the one walking with us. And He does know the path that's coming, right? So then let's look at with all your heart. God doesn't want half or a quarter of your heart, right? It's easy to hear trust in the Lord with all your heart and to think of it as a poetic line, but this is actually a call to integration. Your heart in Hebrew isn't just emotion. It's your inner life, your thoughts, your will, your desires, your emotions, and even your subconscious responses. So when Scripture says to trust with all your heart, it means bring every part of yourself, logical, emotional, doubts, certainties, into surrendered relationship with God. And that means trust with your logic even if facts don't line up, right? Or trust with your emotions even when you're overwhelmed. Or trust with your trauma response even when your nervous system wants to flee, right? Or trust with your uncertainty, especially when you're tempted to take control. Because God isn't asking for blind obedience. He's asking for relational trust. And that's the kind that lets Him hold your story, your grief, and your scattered thoughts and your future, not in parts here and there, but as a whole person. And then let's look at do not lean on your own understanding. And that's the hard one, right? Because for many of us women, especially those of us who have survived traumas and betrayals and disappointments, or even just chronic overstimulation, our understanding became our safety. Like our ability to read the room and plan ahead and anticipate outcomes or interpret a tone, that was survival. But Proverbs tells us do not lean on it. So notice it doesn't say don't use your understanding. It says don't lean on it, which means don't rest your full weight here. Because your understanding has limits, and it's shaped by your past, by your pain, and your own personality. And it might help you function, but it cannot carry the weight of your soul. And this is where trust becomes worship. And when we choose to stop leaning on the thing that used to keep us safe and start leaning on the one who is always safe, then everything changes. And then it says, in all your ways, acknowledge Him. And it doesn't say in all your spiritual ways, right? It says in all your ways. And that means in the way you parent your neurodivergent child, or in the way you care for your body, the way you make business decisions, how you handle your past, how you respond to uncertainty, and in the way even how you talk to yourself. To acknowledge God in all your ways means to invite him into every room of your inner life, not with shame, but with spiritual trust, with full trust. In Hebrew, the word acknowledge is to know intimately, right? It's not casual. It's the kind of deep relational knowing that shapes everything. It's saying, God, you are already here. Help me see you. Help me know you even in this. And at the end it says, and he will make your path straight. So this isn't a promise that everything's going to go how you want. Because the word straight here means aligned or directed and made clear over time. It means the crooked, disjointed, confusing parts of your life will be met by the guiding hand of God. That's what it means. And it may not be quickly, and it may not look all clean, but it will always be faithful. Right? He will lead you. He will steady you. He will bring your soul into alignment with his spirit. And when the path curves and disappears again, he will still be enough. So if you're tired of trying to hold it all together, and that's why I focused so much on this tonight. Like I said, I apologize if I kind of breezed past the other readings, but this particular scripture, I think, speaks a lot to a lot of us women, because a lot of us are tired of trying to hold it all together. And sometimes our understanding feels like it's failing us. And sometimes trusting feels like I'm stepping into a fog I'm terrified. I can't see. I just wanted you to hear that you're not doing it wrong. You're just being invited deeper. Not into control, but into surrender, and not into religious effort, but relational trust, and not into fixing everything, but trusting the one who sees the whole path. And that trust is not one big leap forward. It's in your next breath. It's in your next prayer. It's in your next open hand. It's in the next choice that you make. And it's trusting that if you just started the Well-Read Bible Project today, that today you start where we are. There's no need to control. There's no need to go back and try to catch up. What's been read, you'll read it eventually, and it'll come in the time where God speaks most to you. So this week, I just wanted to reach out to let you know, to let go of the need to catch up, or feeling like, oh, I haven't even started yet. Should I even begin? Yes, begin today. And don't worry about yesterday, right? Just open his word and trust. Because God remembers you. And he interrupts the things you're building in fear. And he invites you to trust with your whole heart. And above all, he keeps your path straight. Not because you do it all right, but because he is good. He is so good. So as you read this week for week 3, I just invite you to dig deep and open yourself up to trust, right?